Ryan Coogler's cinematic juggernaut Sinners has become a pop culture phenomenon, and there are some cleverly hidden Easter eggs hidden in the ether for those who have seen the movie. Sinners broke records during its opening weekend both at the box office and on review platforms, as both critics and audiences embraced Coogler's original movie about two brothers who return to their Mississippi hometown in 1932 and do battle with evil in several forms. Starring Michael B. Jordan as twin brothers Smoke and Stack Moore, Sinners has become a social media sensation as well. One of the most widely appreciated elements of Sinners is composer Ludwig Göransson's incredibly powerful score. Highlighted by the unforgettable Club Duke one-shot, the movie's musical elements have yielded massive interest in both the score itself and the Sinners soundtrack. For those who are willing to dig a little deeper, there is actually a trio of Easter eggs hidden within the Sinners movie soundtrack on Spotify, and they provide some entertaining backstory to both the Smokestack twins and Jack O'Connell's charismatic vampire Remmick. The actual verified artist Sinners movie on Spotify is the entity behind the official Sinners soundtrack and Sinners score albums, and exploring that artist page yields some very well hidden Easter eggs. Within the artist page in the About section, there is information regarding the number of followers the artist has, the monthly listeners, and a series of artist images. For the Sinners movie artist, there are 5 pieces of what look like interconnected artwork that relay the story of Sinners in very brief images, followed by 3 old newspaper clippings. The 3 images are front pages from the Boston Daily Journal in 1911, the Clarksdale Herald in 1924, and the Chicago Daily Times in 1932. Each of the images shows a different headline, image, and some body copy revolving around a separate incident that ties back into the plot of Sinners, albeit not explicitly. The newspaper stories serve as important background information for the Smokestack twins and Remick, all of which was hinted at during Sinners but never elaborated on or confirmed. Remick's origin is revealed by Sinners' Spotify Easter egg. Remick gets a Dracula-inspired origin in America. The first front page is from a Boston newspaper, and it describes a mysterious discovery in the Boston harbor of an Irish immigrant ship that turned up completely devoid of life. The ship's cabin was burned down, and there was blood everywhere, but there were no people aboard the ship, despite reports that lights and music were seen and heard the night before originating from the ship. The final key point is that an eyewitness saw one man take off from the ship with his skin smoking, disappearing into shadows. The story clearly outlines how Remick first came to America in 1911 from his native island. The ship he crosses the Atlantic on is named the Celtic Hare, but it's clearly meant to be a stand-in for the ship that Dracula famously crossed the sea on in Bram Stoker's Dracula, named the Demeter. It's another example of how Sinners' vampire lore sticks fairly closely to the traditional vampire tropes first laid down by Dracula and the original Nosferatu. It also sheds light on how long Remick has been in America, which is a relatively short timeframe in his life, which is implied to be over 600 years long. The Smokestack twins' backstory gains clarity through Spotify. It reveals what they've been doing since World War I. Michael B. Jordan Smoke and Stack standing next to each other in Sinners. The Smokestack twins arrive back in their hometown of Clarksdale, Mississippi with a ton of money, and they waste no time in throwing it around. The other 2 newspaper pages that can be found on Spotify reveal just how Smoke and Stack made their money: bank robberies. The first page is from their hometown paper, and outlines the outcome of a bank robbery, along with a description of the brothers' personalities as recounted by eyewitnesses, including Stack's smooth-talking, commanding nature, and Smoke's more abrasive, violent streak. That robbery occurred in 1924 judging by the paper's date. The second page details the clash between the Italian mafia and the Irish mob in Chicago, following the arrest of Al Capone. As the paper states, the 2 factions are at each other's throats as they vie for control of the city in the vacuum left by Capone's arrest. It specifically states that both sides accuse the other of stealing an illegal alcohol hoard. Meanwhile, the Smokestack twins fill Club Duke with cases of Irish beer and Italian wine from their truck, clearly implicating them in the brewing gang war in the north. What the Easter eggs add to the characters of the Smokestack twins and Remick. It further explains their motivations and mindsets during the night at Club Duke. Smoke and Stack watching the sunset in Sinners. The fact that Remick has only been in America for a short while and is, technically, an Irish immigrant, is important to his motivation. For him to enter any dwelling, he needs to be invited in, and so he needs to find ways to motivate people to do just that. In his time in America, he would have recognized the parallels between Irish culture and black culture in the Jim Crow era, as both people were marginalized by those in power. Knowing he has this experience is important to understanding why he was so adamant about getting into Club Duke. The background info on the Smokestack twins informs their motivations on Club Duke's opening night. It's clear they're trying to make money fast by getting rid of the evidence that they robbed the two biggest gangs in Chicago, especially as it's mentioned in Sinners that they hooked up with Capone in Chicago. Their robberies in 1924 were likely what drew them to the crime lord in the first place, or he to them. It adds another layer of depth to their characters. While they may be the heroes of Sinners, they are not really heroes at all, but hardened criminals.